Hello friends, it's Anoosha Syed here, your resident illustrator extraordinaire, and today we're going to mix things up a bit and do a draw with me. So a couple of days ago I just finished off this little illustration here that I did on my iPad on the app Procreate. And yeah, thought it would be interesting if I just showed you the process that it took to create this piece, do like a little time lapse and whatnot, and also explain my process along the way. So you can see that this is a sketch that I started off with, and see how I went from sketch to the final. Like I said, I pretty much do all of my art on the iPad on the app Procreate. I'll link all of the things that I used below, things like my little pen holder that I have, as well as like my tablet stand. And because I know some of you guys would be interested, here are the specs of this piece. I usually work on 8.5 by 11 just so it's easy to print out at 300 dpi. I ended up using around 25 layers, I believe, and just merged as I went. And it took me 6.5 hours in total to illustrate the piece according to Procreate, but it was actually spread out over like I think 2 weeks or something. In terms of the brushes I use, you guys know my absolute favorite is always the default 6B pencil brush, and you can see I've made like a bunch of different variations of it, and you know what, one day I'll have them up on my Gumroad or something so you can try them out, but mainly I'm using the 6B pencil for my painting. For sketching, I use the gouache detail brush, which I got from Bardot Brush, which I'll link below. And then along the side you can see there are a bunch of other brushes I like using. Most recently I started using Nick Henderson's brushes to add in a bit of texture. I think those textures are really juicy, they are pretty cool. And then I've got ones from like Una, I've got ones from Max Packs, I've got brushes from everywhere, which I like to use mix and match with, but mostly it is the 6B pencil. Layers wise, you can see it's a little bit of a mess. But that's it for all of the initial background information. Now let's get to actually drawing this piece. Let's go! So this illustration that I created was kind of part of a series that I've been working on. I'm Pakistani, I'm South Asian, and I really wanted to do a series kind of focusing on fashion and design and just like really, you know, all about my culture and stuff. And so this is one of those that I thought would be really fun to work on. I actually referenced this photo here for the pose, especially for the hands and stuff. And just a reminder, you guys, it is totally fine to use reference. Like, I do it all the time, and you kind of need to, especially with hands, because I have a lot of trouble drawing hands. As you can see, I keep things pretty rough when it comes to the sketches, and I don't really care too much about the proportions. Like, you can see my hands look absolutely crazy right now, but it's all just guidelines. It's all good. And now we get to the color. So first thing I always do is just to block out my colors. I don't really care too much on the color palette that I'm using. I just want to block things out to begin with. And I always find that it helps to have a background color just so you can match your character to whatever background that you have and to make sure that everything looks cohesive. After I do my flat color, I go over and then do another kind of color over just to add a bit more texture and depth to it. And then on a separate layer, I will start to do my line art. And like I said before, with the flat color as well as the line art, I am just using my favorite 6B pencil. One thing that I really like doing when I'm coloring is layering colors on top of each other. So you can see, like with the eyeliner, I start off with a lighter brown and then go over that with a darker color. And sometimes I'll do the opposite where I'll start off with a dark color and do lighter on top of it, because I like to try to create a more traditional, like hand painted look. I find that when you layer colors on top of each other, it just gives it that more traditional feel to it instead of just sticking to one color. Time for some shading and just layering more and more color on top. I think it really is what I really like doing, is just layering colors on top of each other. So the other reason that I start off with a colored background is also so that I'm able to adjust any whites in my illustration to match with the background. So for example, if I had a white background, the eyes would have been pure white, right? Just to like match with that. But because I didn't want to have like a pure white background, I wanted to have give something of like a more subtle look, something a little bit more vintage. I went with a kind of beige background, and so any whites in my illustration would follow that as well. And so that's why my eye whites over here are also on the yellow side. Like if you were to isolate and color pick that, it would definitely be a kind of yellowy, beigey color. But because it's on that colored background, it just looks like it's white. That's color theory, you guys. That is color relationships. up, let's do some more color fills. This is really the most tedious part. I mean, like I could have just taken a really big brush and just gone over it. But again, because I really like that texture, I like having colors underneath bleeding out from on top. That's why I like to use a smaller brush, just so color from underneath is able to peek out. Alright, now that I've finally figured out my color palette, it's time to get into the details, which is really the most fun part of any illustration, in my opinion. So I love doing the jewelry, I love doing all of like the henna, the patterns, all of the textiles. That's always my favorite stuff. Unfortunately, it's the stuff that I have to leave to the very end because I gotta work on my foundation first. And you can see that I just copy pasted that earring because who's got time to draw two of them? Yeah, because I decided that my overall color palette is going to stick to mints and pinks. Yeah, I've tried to make sure that all of my jewelry and accessories also fit that as well. Same with the embroidery on her dupatta, I did the same thing where I drew a couple of them and then just copy paste. Alright, we are pretty much nearing the end of this process video now. I hope this was somewhat insightful and somewhat interesting for you guys. This was more of like a time-lapse video, you know, sped up and everything, but if you guys would be interested in an actual draw with me where I sit down in real time draw something out and kind of explain as I'm drawing, let me know because that could be pretty fun too. But yeah, I hope this video was fun for you guys. If you liked this, please consider checking out my other videos and subscribing to my channel. But otherwise, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye!